Hey, what's going on? Ryan here, setthepacetriathlon.com, and we are doing some quick Facebook Live tips. You thought you could get away from me, but it's Thursday, a little later in the week. I like to do a Facebook Live, but I made it. I'm here. Let's talk riding on the road. I've done several videos about safety, riding your bike on the road, especially now here in Kansas City. Weather's getting a little bit better. A couple days ago, we did have 3 inches of snow in the morning. I believe that was Tuesday. This is Thursday. So this weekend we're looking to be in the 60s and 70s, and people are going to be going outside. So, and I bit my tongue, so if I'm doing strange things like that, always be careful while you're eating food. Don't be in a hurry. So, back to riding on the streets, being safe. I've already done a couple of videos, and I've had a couple of people chime in with their suggestions too, so I did a part two. So this is part two. So, number one, railroad tracks. They can be a big problem, especially for cyclists. If at all possible, try to angle it so you're going across them perpendicular. Don't try to slant a railroad track. If it's slanted, don't try to ride it at an angle. Try to turn and then come straight at it, perpendicular, and ride over it. That is the best way to not get your wheel caught in the track and flip you over. Haven't done that, but also get off your bike if it's raining and actually walk it across, even if you can get perpendicular. Just a minute or two extra time just to walk your bike across wet railroad tracks will save you a ton of headache. I almost did wipe out with one time. The wet track caught my front wheel. It went in the groove because it slipped on the metal, and then my aero bars slanted down because I had a grip on them, and I pushed them down, and it was an interesting ride all the way back home. But just saying, wet railroad tracks, get off your bike and cross around. Speaking of wet metal, if there is construction, there's plates in the road, do not ride over a steel plate in the rain. That is nothing, you're doing nothing but asking for trouble if you're going to do that with your bike. So be careful if it's raining, obviously on the pavement, but steel plates, don't ride over those. And if you're crossing train tracks in the rain, get off and walk your bike across just to be on the safe side. Another tip that I got was, if you're riding, especially in the heat, if it's really sunny and really hot and you're sweating a lot, you need to be careful when you're holding on to your bars, either aero bars or drops or whatever, especially going downhill. If you hit a little bump or something like that, if your hands are all slippier and stuff, and you don't have good grip tape on your handlebars or something like that, or you're grabbing them in the wrong place where there's not grip tape, you could hit a bump and slide your hands off the handlebars, and then you're not steering your bike, and it's going to be bad news. So make sure you have a good grip, especially when you're sweating. Just even during races and stuff, during hot races, just make sure you have a good grip, especially when you're getting really sweaty and stuff. Or if you're, cooling off, putting water all over yourself. If your hands are wet and you're on your bike, you could have problems with that. The next tip is, don't have an ego out there. Don't think that you can zip through intersections and stuff like that. And don't take a chance. If you come to a four-way intersection, personally, I wave all the cars on because I don't want one guy, I thought we made eye contact and he goes ahead and goes, because it's easier for you to let them go than it is for them to go and then stop, and especially if they're in a hurry or whatever. Four-way intersections, if you don't have the right of way to just go through, if it's not a two-way, I would say stop and just let people go, and then you go, unless, there's maybe one car and he's obviously stopping and waiting for you. But if it's full intersection, just let people go and let them go through. Lights. I don't think I mentioned this the first one. I can't believe I did that. So flashing headlights and taillights. I think there's a lot of states that require them. If you're not, you don't have them on your bike any time of day or night, if you're not having flashing lights on the front and the back, you can get a ticket for riding out there like that. I always like to have it, especially, you get the really bright LEDs, man, and you get those flashing, especially if you're doing morning rides out when it's pre-dawn, or you're getting close to dusk or something like that. I love them. They're annoying as all get out, and I've been heckled for having it. It's like, oh, that's way too bright. Hey, you shouldn't be out here in the dark like that. Well, it's like, well, yeah, that's why I have it, is so you can see me and gripe at me instead of run me over. So make sure you have lights. Always consider riding in packs. Personally, my timing usually doesn't work out well for group rides and stuff like that. Hence why I spend a lot of time probably on the trainer and avoid going out, especially if it's dark or something like that. But if you're going out on the weekends, Saturdays or Sundays like that, and trying to time with a group, being in group is just a little bit better. Gives you more visibility, and there's not just one or two of you out there. Being in groups is a little bit more safe, especially if something happens. Hopefully somebody in your group has a cell phone and then they can call for help or something like that. But hopefully you never need that. Especially in spring and in fall, different times of mating season for deer. Had this happen at a race where one guy actually was wiped out by a deer running across the road, and he was going downhill 30 miles per hour or something like that. Smacked him, knocked him off his bike. He was fine, but had road rash and stuff. Just be mindful. Most of us, if you're trying to get your ride in early before work, or you're getting in at dusk and you're doing it at the wrong time of year, especially here in Kansas City, we have a deer population is out of control. They do controlled hunts sometimes. So just be mindful. If you're out there, head on a swivel, man, just like we're driving your car. Just be ready for those deer to pop out, because unlike a car, you're not heavier than a deer, and the deer will just wipe you out and keep on going. Because you can hit a deer with a car, and those guys will still keep going like it's nothing. So just think about you on a bike versus a deer. So don't be that person. Don't hit a deer, or don't let a deer hit you. Another tip that someone gave was unclip when you're approaching intersections. So this is kind of I won't say a no-brainer or expert level or something like that, but some people will try to stay clipped in and try to balance their bike or whatever while they're waiting for either a green light or stopping an intersection or something like that. Don't be a hero. Maybe check the ego too, and just unclip and just wait and just prop your bike up, because I'd hate to see a ride in because you kept clipped in, or you stayed clipped in, and then you wiped down on your bike and you smacked up your knee or something like that. So just consider when you're coming to an intersection, just unclip and get ready to swing a leg out or something like that, just to lean against it and stop and wait for your turn to go. And the last tip that I got, and make it short and sweet, don't run stop signs and red lights. I'm going to say guilty as charged. I'm not going to say where, because, just in case someone wants to look me up and say, oh, you admitted to it. If you didn't see me do it, it didn't happen, right? So red lights, especially red lights at busy intersections, don't do the look, no cars coming, just fly by. And stop signs. I will say that if I'm out in the countryside and it's a two-way stop or something like that, or a four-way stop, I'll kind of look down the road and you can see far enough. Probably should be stopping and stuff like that. But I'm just going to put it out there. Don't run the stop signs. Don't run the red lights, because technically you're considered operating a moving vehicle or something like that. So if you run a stop sign or a red light and you either get into an accident or cause an accident, you're liable. So that is a legal matter. So you're kind of taking legal matters in your own hands if you're going to run red lights and the stop signs. And that just kind of is good, protocol, good mojo overall. Being a cyclist out there, you need to be adhering to the rules of the road like a car would. Stop signs, stop lights, and stuff like that, yield signs, all that good stuff. So make sure you're paying attention to that. So that's the tips. Jeannie Ann said great tips. Thank you. Thanks for the feedback, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. So with that, be safe out there when you're riding a bike, especially as the weather gets better. Ironman Tulsa's coming up. At the time of this recording, we're April 22nd. We're getting there. It's getting go time. It's almost less than a month away. So long, big rides are coming up, and I want to make sure that you guys are safe out there. So happy training, and we will see you out on race day.